So the title kind of just says it all. I would get up and leave and like walk out and make a joke that I was gonna, be like, all right, I'm done. But the 4 or 5 people that listen to this as a podcast rather than watch it might get confused. So you can just imagine that. Yeah, I guess that's kind of big news. Pretty big news for me. Pretty big news for Keelan. Pretty big news for Bloggy. Fuck, I really thought I'd just be able to freestyle this. I haven't got any notes. It's just, I've just had a brain full of thoughts and I was going to sit down and just go, blah, and now I'm here. In short, yeah, I guess this is the announcement video. I mean, I've made Instagram posts and emails going out and things like this. I'm shutting down Motus, the brand that I've poured everything into for the last many years. Like, technically, like 7, but I mean, it really got intense. I can't really remember how much I put in that, like, I messed up video or whatever it was called. Like, last year I was like, I sold like some fucking jewelry I inherited from my granny just to like put into the brand. There's like all this stuff I did. And like, I really just didn't know where things were. Where do I even fucking start? Where am I going with this video? Basically, things are good. You would think, I fully thought, like, I mean, half a year ago maybe, I was walking the dog, having a bit of a tiff with my mum because I just didn't know what to do about Motus. I didn't know how long I could keep it going. There was just so much stress, and it was really, really like breaking me mentally. And I remember sending me a voice message that was like, Giles, I think you've just got to like put it to bed. And I got so angry listening to that voice message that I just lobbed my phone like while walking in a field, and it just happened to land on like a rock, just in the middle of a field, just hit a rock and smashed the screen. And for ages I had a broken screen, and it was just like because I was an angry dickhead. But I just always was like, well, I don't have anything else apart from Motus. Like, I would have to go and get a job at, just another company or something that wasn't related to parkour. And then it's like, well, what have I just spent the last 20 years doing? Like, trying to do something within this space. And I didn't feel confident that I could go back to being a filmmaker in that space and all these things. And now suddenly this other opportunity kind of came along, and it's just like, continue what we're doing in the same space and just the relief. Like, honestly, it's like a weight off my shoulders and so much excitement for the future. But I guess I should just go back a bit. This video is probably going to be a bit all over the place. And I'm sorry to people who are sad. Like, I am, and I'm sad, and I'm not sad because amazingly I don't feel like I failed. I really thought Motus ending, the only way it was going to happen would be a failure, and I would be miserable. And now I think I look at it very, very quickly. I've had this mindset shift of just like, oh, it didn't get to where I wanted, but I did do an incredible amount, and I'm really, really happy with that. And actually now that like I'm putting this thing to bed, and I can almost appreciate those things that I managed to do with Motus for what they were, rather than just being like, they weren't good enough, I've got to keep trying to do better. And now I'm like, no, I did some fucking cool shit, and I'm still in the space, and I'm still going to do cool stuff. But yeah, to go back, obviously all these videos and everything have been kind of like me trucking along, pushing ahead, and that was always the intention. Even a few weeks ago, that was still completely the intention. This whole thing essentially has come about very, very quickly, but it has felt just right from the moment it kind of came about. And basically what happened was, that day, some of you will know, Storror put up like essentially like a we're hiring thing on Instagram. I was already in a really bad place that day just because I was stressed about Motus, and I was dealing with Daisy, and I felt like I wanted to be working, but I couldn't because I was looking after her. And I was just in a bad headspace, and I saw that thing, and I was like, oh, fuck's sake, like, there they go, they keep doing better and better, and we keep doing worse and worse, like kind of that, like evil comparison that always comes about. And then just later in that day, I was just like, just thinking, and I was like, there's no one more qualified for that job than me. Like, I have all the like e-com brand experience, all the sort of past history with Storror. I have the in-depth knowledge of the sport, etc., etc. And I was like, well, Bloggy, basically, long story short, I called up Drew, And I was like, hypothetical, like, conversation I want to have here. I just want to see what your thoughts are if I sort of said this. I was like, what if Motus didn't exist? Like, would the package that we currently have fit? And he was like, fuck, like, yeah. And he'd said that, like, they'd kind of referenced me and things, like, we need like a Giles type person, because I'm not going to go crazy into detail, but from what Storror really, they've obviously spent however many years really focusing on the YouTube, and the clothing's always been there, but it just hasn't been their key priority. As the thing's getting bigger, they're just realizing they need to be putting more time and energy into that, but the YouTube and other commercial projects are sort of taking that time, so they know that unless they can, like, if they neglect that anymore, it's just going to suffer. So what they want to do is basically, well, what they're doing is hiring sort of us to just sort of, manage that side of things. Obviously not completely, like, they'll still be involved, Drew will still be involved in things like this, but I am going to be going in as I've forgotten the actual technical job role, but sort of management of a lot of the back end stuff, communication with factories and things like this, sharing some of that stuff with Bloggy, who also obviously will be doing like product design and product development, and then some other bits here and there. And then Keelan has actually already been editing some of the recent Storror videos and will continue to do so, plus pick up some sort of filming, editing roles that they also need doing. So it's like, the realization I had basically after I was initially pissed off in that morning, like having a bad mood, and sort of saw that post and everything else, I was just like, there is a very good chance that the Motus wouldn't be here in a year's time, 2 years' time. Like, unless we get some significant, massive cash injection, or like something incredibly lucky happens, like a viral suddenly means that suddenly everyone wants to buy the clothing, and then we've got more demand and blah, 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 blah. Like, it would be incredibly hard to keep Motus going past a certain point. It always just felt like the horizon was just there. Every sort of month or quarter was just like, fuck, how are we going to get through this? Like, and as I've said on this video, and it's always been tough. And in these videos, I've tried to be kind of positive and thinking about the future. And obviously I had the big ambitious plans of the London project, which now I don't know what the future of that is, to be honest. But also now that I've got a slightly clearer head and this opportunity's come along, I'm like, fuck, was I just a bit caught up in thinking like, oh, this one big thing could solve it, when actually there's a very good chance I would have put a lot of effort and energy into that thing, which already I was massively behind on to making any dent in it, really. And then it would have, moved the needle a bit, but it wouldn't have saved things. And maybe in that time I would have neglected other things that, like, but the realization I had was that Motus could easily not exist in a year's time or 2 years' time. Storror 100% will. Like, they are so established now, they have so much growth potential, from the sort of the YouTube to the team with the commercial projects to the clothing. And the clothing is the thing that needs kind of the most support, and it's where I've spent, like, if you look at Storror and think, well, the last few years they've been focusing on YouTube and maybe neglected the clothing a little bit, we've almost neglected the YouTube and focused, like, especially me, much more on like the e-com, the email marketing, the website development, all of these things that, like, maybe aren't so flashy and you don't see these million view hits, but they drive revenue, and they have that back end of that supports a brand. And even, like, I mean, in meetings that we've had with sort of Drew in the last few weeks, I've come to realize that, like, they need help in those areas because it just hasn't been their focus. So I'm like, fuck, I'm so excited to, like, step into this position and pull levers effectively and go, like, look, I know this, I can help you here, I can help you here, I can help you here. And on top of that, it's like, well, I have, the experience with the parkour community. I know sort of for the vast majority, like, what works, what doesn't work, what people like, etc. And obviously it's going to be different, and there's going to be fucking challenges for sure, and it's a totally different beast. But honestly, all I can say is I feel relieved and excited, and it's just, it's so weird. If you told me even a month ago that, like, I would be feeling this way about the end of Motus, and you didn't give me context as to why, I would be so confused, because I only ever saw it as, like, misery and failure and everything else. And now my mind has suddenly scaled out, and I'm like, well, it was an amazing opportunity and to learn transferable skills, which I did, and thankfully I had this sort of not even the foresight, but I just thought I need to get better at business and all these things, and I learned all that stuff, and that's effectively why I'm able to move into this role. And I'm just so fucking grateful to Storror, one, just for that, and two, for the fact that like they can take us on as a package, because I wouldn't be able to do it if it was like, oh yeah, Giles, we want you, but just fucking leave Keelan in the dust. Like, I have dragged that guy through just shit over the years of just like, come on, we'll get there, we'll keep pushing, like we'll do this, and like paying him barely enough to fucking survive, and paying myself barely enough to survive. And the same with Bloggy. Like, I've dragged these guys just through that struggle for so long, and it didn't work out with Motus, but at least we're all able to port across, and it's just, I'm so fucking thankful for it, like so thankful to them, because and I mean, obviously there's the athletes are, we've already contacted them a few days ago and had sort of, I basically just sent a massive message, and we've had some chats with some of them, and like it's obviously sad, but as we've said on the podcast and even here, and it's been fairly apparent that the team aspect of Motus has been very much fragmented for the last couple of years, kind of because of COVID. Like, that was definitely a factor. Many of them are doing really, really well as sort of athletes in their own right. Some of them are moving into other areas of their life, and it just like, it didn't feel like we were really screwing any of those guys over if we shut the thing down. Like, none of them were like, you know, relying on Motus for that boost in life. They all obviously would have appreciated it or whatever, but so that's sad. And I mean, just quickly, like things like the film festival, obviously that'll still get wrapped up appropriately, and things like this. I'm very aware of that. It's not like we're just going to stop dead. In fact, we're basically, as of this announcement, basically just hosting a massive sale, releasing a couple of farewell products, and just running that throughout the kind of Christmas period into early January, and then we'll be wrapping things up. I've never shut down a company before. There's going to be a whole load of hurdles. To be honest, I don't even know if it's like, you know, I could be doing something really bad by making a video about it before we've even officially done it on paper. There's a whole hurdle of things to get through there. We haven't even told the landlord yet, because literally this thing's only been decided and like finished in the last few days. And technically we've got like a 3-year lease, but we have a break clause on that, so it's not like we're gonna sort of screw anyone over or anything like that, but there's going to be a lot of hurdles to jump through and jump over to wrap this thing up, whilst also transitioning into this Storror role. So it's not going to be easy, but it doesn't, like, fucking life shouldn't be easy, in my opinion. It's you go through the adversity to find these opportunities to keep progressing. But yeah, I can't really think if there's anything I need to talk about. The Storror will basically be getting a small, like, working office down in Brighton, and Keelan and Bloggy will be moving down there. I'll be staying up where I live, but it's like a lot of what I can do can be done from a laptop, and I'll probably do a couple of days a week down in Brighton, which will be amazing because I'll probably train more. I mean, one thing I would love to still do, even if none of that other London project happens, is still release like a 20-year training video, even if it's just, well, it's just, at the end of the day, it's just going to be my training from a few months prior to that video coming out. But if I'm down in Brighton more often, the chances of me actually training and progressing more could be really strong. But yeah, like, I don't know what's going to happen with these videos. I should probably change all my usernames. I've got this podcast called, like, Giles Motus' Mind Dump. Can't do that. I don't really know who I am now, because I don't think I'm not Giles Storror. I don't think. I feel like I'm not a Storror, but I feel like I'm moving into a role where I would be part of the Storror sort of company. Which is funny, actually, because, yeah, it's like there's always been the 7, and by no means are sort of any of us saying that we're now part of that, but it's we're propping up that clothing side and working with those guys, and yeah. I don't really know where I should go, but I think you can probably just tell from this that I have this, like, sense of relief, and everything suddenly doesn't feel as bad. And that for me is like there's going to be hopefully better work-life balance, hopefully better enjoyment out of, because I don't, we won't be packing orders anymore, which had its fun moments, and it was always cool because you see the orders in the physical form, you appreciate how many people are buying from your brand and things like this. And yeah, obviously, who is ringing me? Some random number. Obviously, like, it's cool to own something. It's cool to be the person running it, but it also means that all the responsibilities are on you. And if it fucks up, it really fucking does your head in. And that's exactly what I've gone through. And I'm excited now to step into a position where I can feel like I'm part of that bigger machine without every single responsibility being on me. But yeah, I'm happy, I think. Until, the next depressive moment. But I think I'll leave it at that. Find out who's just rung me from London, because I've got no idea. 5 o'clock on a Friday. Should be in the car on the way home. Yeah, I'll try and keep this up. I'd like to keep this up. Maybe I'll make it more formal and more about e-com and business. Maybe I'll make it more silly. The Motus podcast, I think, is coming to an end as well. Like, we're planning one final episode, and then we'll probably just sort of we've got all the equipment, but realistically it's probably better served with the Storror podcast. My secret plan is just to infiltrate that and wait till Callum has a sick day and then host it, and then just do a far superior job and watch the ratings go through the roof, and then everyone will be like, we want Giles. It's a bit like I did with the Flow Show, to be honest. And then I'll take that over and it'll be mine, Callum. I don't think he watches these. Yeah, cool. By the way, if my voice sounds really deep, it's because I went to a gig last night and I was a bit shouty and hoarse. So, yeah, cool. Love you lots. Thank you. Actually, I guess just thank you for the support and the people who've left really long comments. And sometimes I've sent shitty responses just like thank you, and other times had longer conversations. But to anyone who's kind of invested time into this little series, it has been incredibly fulfilling to do and to sort of air my thoughts and grievances and struggles and things. And yeah, I think it could be a cool thing to keep up. I just need to work it all out. But yeah. And all I'll say is it might not be the end of Motus forever. They're not saying there's anything concrete coming, but there's thoughts in my head. There's things that brand has done and could still do that wouldn't conflict, that would still potentially excite me. So yeah, and maybe I'll start making parkour videos again, because I might actually have more time and be around people who train. Love you lots. Bye. Did I stop? No. Wicked.